Hello, and welcome to NxtEdge training session. In this session, we'll walk through how to set up and use order limits in your system. This powerful feature helps you manage your weekly purchasing by setting a maximum spend amount across selected vendors and categories. To begin, let's clarify what order limits actually control. Order limits apply only to orders being placed. They do not take into account any invoices received after an order has been submitted. The feature is designed to restrict how much can be ordered in real time, not how much is ultimately billed. Let's start by activating order limits in the system. To do that, go to the Company Setup section and select the Order Limits tab. Once you're there, choose the option labeled Based on Budget. At this point, you'll be prompted to enter an email address for notifications. This step is required, and you may enter multiple addresses if you'd like more than one person to be notified when an order goes over the spending limit. Now that the feature is activated, the next step is to decide which vendors you want this to apply to. Go into your list of vendors, click into each one individually, and navigate to the Miscellaneous tab. There, you'll see an option to include that vendor in order limits. If you want the vendor's purchases to count against your weekly order limit, check that box. If not, leave it unchecked. Repeat this step for each vendor you'd like to include or exclude from order limit control. You can also fine-tune your settings by choosing which product categories are subject to the order limit. For example, you might decide that paper products or cleaning chemicals shouldn't count against your purchasing cap. To do this, go to the Categories section and uncheck any categories you want excluded from the order limit calculation. Once you've defined your vendors and categories, you'll need to review user permissions. In the Users section, you'll see a checkbox that allows you to include or exclude individual users from being restricted by the order limit. If the box is checked, that user will not be able to place an order that exceeds the remaining order limit. If the box is left unchecked, that user will be able to approve or override orders that go beyond the limit. It's important to make sure at least one person on your team has approval access, so that someone can move forward with critical orders if needed. With all that in place, we're ready to set the weekly order limit. Go to the Order Limits Setup screen and click on Add New Budget. The system currently supports weekly order limits only. You'll enter a start date, let's say, for example, the week of May 7th, and then input the dollar amount you want to allow for that week. Let's say it's $12,000. If you want that same amount to roll forward into the next week, you don't have to do anything further. However, if you want to adjust the limit for the following week, for instance, changing it to $14,000, you'll need to create a new entry for that week. Now that your weekly order limit is in place, you can begin placing orders as usual through NxtEdge. When you enter NxtEdge screen, you'll see the remaining balance displayed at the top. As you add items to your cart, the system will automatically deduct those amounts from your available order limit as long as the vendors and categories for those items are included in your order limit settings. Once you're ready, proceed through checkout as you normally would. If the total amount in the cart exceeds the available balance of the order limit and the user attempting to place the order is subject to order limits, the system will block the transaction and ask you to notify your manager. The manager will receive an email with a copy of the order, and then they can come into pending orders. The order will be displayed. They can edit the order or send the order. On the other hand, if the user has approval access, they'll be allowed to proceed with placing the order. And that concludes our training on how to use order limits. If you have any questions or need assistance with setup or configuration, please contact your account manager. They'll be happy to help. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to supporting your continued success.